this con is very, very organized.
Okay.
So they make it really easy to just step in and here's what you're doing and here's where you're sleeping, here's some food, like all the things that you want when you are away from home that to make you feel comfortable.
They've got it all set up.
Yes.
How does it compare to some of the larger conventions that you go to?
I haven't been to a huge one in too long. I guess last weekend I was in Youmacon in Detroit, and that was getting pretty big. So big that I really have no idea how many people are there. 8,000, 10,000, who knows? And this is quite different from that one in the organization aspect. But I think it's just because that con just grew and moved to a new building. So every year that you do something new, there's some growing pains involved.
Right.
Other big shows, I've been to Otakon once or twice, but not recently. I went in like 2006 and 2007, and I've been to Anime Central 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
And I guess those are the big shows, but this one doesn't feel as big as it probably is. And
Because it's in a big hotel.
yeah, that helps. That really helps. This hotel is beautiful, and Washington, D.C. is beautiful, and all the fans so far have been really great and polite.
Awesome.
And yeah.
So when you come here, do you usually get a lot of fans that come dressed up as your characters from, such like Full Metal Alchemist or?
There are usually just 1 or 2 dressed as Winry. I think in Full Metal's heyday there were a lot more, but mostly people want to show me their costumes like from the same shows at least. A lot of people still like dressing as Ed or Colonel Mustang or something like that.
Right.
So I just get excited to see people in costumes from shows that I was in, whether it's my character or not, or just anime that I really like.
Have you ever cosplayed your own characters?
I
yourself?
have.
Really?
I have at a convention when it was Halloween, and Oron had just been released, so I decided that I would dress as Haruhi and sort of be incognito for like the whole day. And people knew it was me if they were introduced to me, like this is Caitlin. But otherwise,
in passing, it was
people would stop me because they really liked my costume and they really liked Oron, but not because they knew who I was. It's pretty cool.
It's like under the.
Yeah, and I felt special because never, even since then, have I seen someone wear the same costume, which is from the last 2 episodes when they're having the big host club salon and they've got white tailcoats and pink shirts and gray pants and all of that. That's what I did, and I've never seen anybody else do it.
Really?
I know. I'm sure
So
someone has.
one.
I'm sure somebody has, okay? I'm not trying to say I'm the one and only, but I figured for sure, like, I didn't even make a stitch of that costume. And I say it proudly. I didn't hire someone else to make it either. I just went to Men's Warehouse and said, I need to rent a tuxedo that doesn't match. And they're like, okay. And they gave me shoes and everything. It was perfect. I think I had to go and buy a pink dress shirt, and that was it. But the tie, which was like the long kind, I think, and everything, the vest, the tailcoat, the pants, the shoes, everything, Men's Warehouse.
Awesome.
I know. They even had something for my big girly booty. They'll
like,
dress you up. Yeah.
For...
Yeah. Well, not cut for women. It was definitely a man's tuxedo, but it fit. And, they tailor it for you, like tack up the legs if they're too long and all that stuff. I'm telling you, people, just pick a character that wears a tuxedo and go and rent one.
Finished.
Yeah, especially guys. I don't think guys understand that a tuxedo is like their secret weapon on how to look really amazing. Like, there's a reason.
Right.
There's a reason people wear those when they get married and for special occasions, because you look dang good.
So, when you started voice acting, was there something that kind of inspired you to start it? Like, did you watch anime from a young age, or just kind of fell into it one day?
I think I had watched anime from a young age, but I didn't know that that's what I was watching. When you're a kid, you're like, oh, cartoons. You don't know the difference. And especially because there were shows like on Nickelodeon and things that weren't advertised as this is anime like they do now. You're like, here's the Toonami block, or here's the Japan block, or whatever they call it.
Right.
But then, like, there was a show I used to watch called Grimm's Fairy Tales, and turns out it was Japanese. Like, it was anime, and that was one of my favorite shows. I watched Sailor Moon in high school because a friend introduced me to it, and that's probably what really got me hooked, but I still wasn't watching lots of other anime. Not because I was opposed, just because I had no exposure, really.
Right.
In college, I watched more, kind of whatever was on Toonami and Adult Swim and Cartoon Network, so all the good things like Bebop and stuff like that. But I got real busy with school and theater because that was my degrees in that, and I wasn't home to watch TV, and this was actually before DVR, so I couldn't just record all the Sailor Moon that was on. So I kind of stopped watching just because I got busy with other things. But not long before I graduated, I decided that I needed a hobby, and I was just wandering through the mall one day, and I found a New Type magazine, which that doesn't exist anymore. Also makes me feel old. In a Suncoast, a store that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, hey. And it came with a free DVD. So I'm like, $10 magazine. It's obviously huge, full of pictures, and free anime. I'm like, I'm buying this. $10. Okay. And then I went, maybe this will be my hobby. And the Blockbuster by my house, Blockbuster, who goes there? They actually had a huge anime section, so I would just rent whatever I could. And mostly it was fun. I wasn't thinking anything about, hey, I want to be a voice actress. I mean, I was planning on being an actor. That's what I was doing, like on the stage, and going to go to college or something and study Shakespeare or whatever. But then one day one night rather, I actually watched something on TV, like all the way through the credits to the end, and noticed that under Funimation's logo it said Fort Worth, Texas. I'm like, no kidding. Huh, that's where I live. That's weird. Not in Fort Worth, but in Dallas, Fort Worth area. I've always loved cartoons and still do, and I've always been kind of a mimic. But no, I really did fall into it. I have a friend who works at the studio, and he took me on a tour back in 2004. And on the tour, I met a director who gave me an on-the-spot audition, and 3 days later, I was working there. That was it. It was crazy.
Just got right into it.
Yeah, and it really did, like, change the course of my life, though. Like, things started picking up, and at the time, I had wanted, after I graduated, to go do, not a study abroad, but go live abroad in Japan and, like, teach English or just do something for a year, just to do something different. And then go to graduate school. Hopefully I wanted to go in, like, the UK somewhere. But instead, like, when I would mention these plans, people around Funimation were like, oh. Like, they'd get kind of disappointed. Like, maybe there's something to be said about all this, and I should stick around. And that's what ended up happening. I still haven't been to Japan, but I did become an English teacher. And I went and lived in Spain instead.
Oh,
so,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So got to satisfy that going out of the country.
Absolutely.
So, my friend will kill me if I don't ask you. How do you take on different voices? Like, go from, like, your regular voice to a totally different voice, and then you're acting as someone else, and then you just make up all these voices for different characters? Wow, the how of it all is really weird. I think it probably comes a lot from watching so many cartoons and being a mimic, that in my brain, when I see a character, I understand this character is supposed to sound like this, whatever this is. But it's just because of all the stereotypes that, in a positive way, character types, archetypes, I suppose, vocal archetypes, let's call it that have been established for each type of character. So when I see, like, oh, that's the princess character, this is the bratty character, I don't know, it's just, you just do it. In the same way that, I don't know, you sing a song or something when you first hear the opening notes, but the words aren't there, like, you know the song, so you're going to sing and you know where to start singing, and it's kind of like that. Developing a voice is a little different. Like, you kind of start with what you think it's going to be, but the director needs it to be something slightly different, so they'll work with you, and they give you very good hints, like, oh, make it higher, lower, obviously, or younger, older, breathier, louder, just whatever, small things like that. In anime, at least for female characters, there aren't too many vocal extremes. Not because the characters aren't well written, but because the world they inhabit is so crazy. Purple hair, giant boobs, giant robots, giant everything, and, saving the world and all of that, that if your lead characters sounded not like a real person, like, you wouldn't buy it. You're like, why am I watching this? This is ridiculous. This is for kids, or this is just stupid. So for girls a lot, we just need to sound very natural and be able to convey a lot of the heightened emotions that the characters have, because they're all, 15 years old or somewhere in there. Yeah. So you just have to be real. So fortunately, I guess for me, I don't have to do crazy, wacky stuff all that much. Sometimes you get to, and then it's really a stretch. So I admire voice actors out there doing, like in LA, doing all the pre-like cartoons and the E.G. Dailies and the Tara Strongs and people like that, who really do craft these voices out of nothing. And they blow my mind. I'm not in the same league as them whatsoever.
So, other than voice acting, you also do some directing. And then you did the Orion Host Club.
Yeah.
So, what was your transition, your state of mind to like transition from one to the other? Did you ask to take on the project?
I had been directing for about 3 years when I started Orion. Kind of 3 years sporadically. I started directing only a year after I started voice acting because I was interested in doing more for the company because I just really liked it there. And it turned out that they did, I guess, either have an opening or had a need for new directors, so I had to go get trained on my own, like go sit in with all the directors, learn how to do the job. But it took a long time to have my own show, like a whole show from start to finish. I was mostly helping out other directors, like filling in when they were sick or needed a day off, whatever, and doing bits of shows like Case Closed, where there are a million episodes, and everyone's been a director on that show. The show is called Suzuka, and it's like a high school sports romance. Really fun. Really, really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. It's still one of my favorite shows that I've worked on. And I got to do some One Piece, but my next big show, if I'm not mistaken, was Orion. So I'd been working for other directors, and they said that I did a great job, but I'd only done one full show in its entirety, and then I'm entrusted with this huge responsibility of this show that, I sometimes wonder, like, did Funimation know that it was going to be as big a deal as it turned out to be? And so I'm very, very grateful that they trusted me with it. Everyone knew that I wanted it because I kind of discovered the show before we had licensed it, and was always in Justin Cook's office like, hey, have you heard about this show? I think that you should get it. And he's like, go away. And then once I knew we had it, it was just, I was excited that we had it, but scared that I wouldn't get to direct it because, like I said, I hadn't been there all that long, and I thought maybe I haven't proved my worth with anything. I've only done one show. But everyone knew how much I loved it, and I think they were afraid to give it to anyone else, lest I strangle them in their sleep or something. So that's how Orion happened.
And that turned out to be pretty popular. So.
Yeah, I know, it's so weird.
That's awesome.
I've got little kids who come up to me or like, this is my first anime. I'm like, what, when you were 8? Because they're like 12 now. I'm like, this is so weird. It's crazy.
So is there anything that you want to say to your fans about the business or about anything that you're working on?
I'm excited to be working on some things, though of course I can't talk about them yet. But it's really nice to be back in the studio doing fun stuff, cool things. I don't even know what's coming out. Oh, I did a really fun show called Level E. Vic Mignogna's in it. He plays this prince who's like a prankster, like an alien prince, and he likes to pull pranks on people. I don't entirely know the whole premise because I'm not in every episode, but I get to play a boy, which never happens. I very rarely, if ever, play boy characters, and when I do, they're there for 3 lines and then they disappear. But there's this crew of these little junior high boys who are all really good friends, and all of them are played by girls except one. So it's fun. It's like Leah Clark and Ophelia Yu and Terry Doty and then Chris George, like one guy who plays this big dude. But so we kind of become like these Sentai Ranger type people running around, and anyway, it's called Level E. Please check it out because it's hysterical. It's really, really funny. Vic does some crazy stuff with his voice. It's an opportunity for him to play like every random character he's ever had living in his head just comes out in these 13 episodes, and I'm excited for people to see it. It's good times. But I don't know when it comes out. Sorry.
We'll look at it.
Well, I have posters for it from Funimation, so it must be coming out soon. But I guess that's about all that I've done that I can talk about. I did Shauna Season 2. Again, I don't know when that comes out. And I play a villain in that, so that's kind of neat.
It's always fun to play the background.
Yeah, totally. That's what's going on.
Thank you so much. It was
You're
really
welcome.
great.
You're welcome.
So have a good rest of your convention, and we hope to see you again. And we'll definitely look into the stuff that you're about to come out with.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.